The year is 1940. Europe is at war. The continent is engulfed in a conflict that threatens to reshape the world as we know it. The skies above the English Channel are filled with the drone of aircraft engines. The sound is relentless, a constant reminder of the battle raging above. It is the sinister symphony of war, a cacophony that signals destruction and chaos echoing across the waters below. This is the Battle of Britain, a pivotal moment in history where the skies became the ultimate battleground, a battle unlike any the world has ever seen. Pilots engaged in deadly dogfights, their lives hanging by a thread. A battle that will decide the fate of a nation. The stakes could not be higher as the future of Britain and the free world rests in the balance. The summer of 1940 was a time of great peril for Britain. The nation stood alone, isolated and under siege. The German war machine, the Wehrmacht, had conquered most of Europe. Their advance seemed unstoppable, a juggernaut of military might. France, Belgium, Holland, all had fallen. The swift and brutal campaigns left these nations under the shadow of the swastika. Only the English Channel stood between Hitler and his ambition to crush Britain. This narrow strip of water became the last barrier to total domination. The fate of Western civilization hung in the balance. The world watched anxiously, knowing that the outcome here would shape the future. The Royal Air Force, the RAF, stood as Britain's last line of defense. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. Yet their resolve was unshakable. But they were not outmatched. With courage and determination, they took to the skies, ready to defend their homeland at any cost. Their bravery would become legendary, a testament to the indomitable spirit of a nation under siege. Hitler, drunk on victory, believed that Britain would surrender. He was mistaken. The British spirit was far from broken. Britain, led by the indomitable Winston Churchill, resolved to fight on. Churchill's resolve was unshakable, and his speeches ignited a fire in the hearts of the British people. "We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be," Churchill declared. His words echoed through the halls of history, a testament to the unyielding spirit of a nation under siege. "We shall fight on the beaches," he proclaimed as British soldiers fortified their positions along the coastlines, ready to repel any invaders. "We shall fight on the landing grounds where every inch of sand would be contested fiercely. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets, turning every village and town into a fortress. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." Churchill's defiance was a rallying cry for a nation determined to stand its ground. Frustrated by Britain's defiance, Hitler ordered Operation Sea Lion, the invasion of Britain. The plan was ambitious, but fraught with peril. But before an invasion could begin, the Luftwaffe, Germany's air force, had to control the skies. Air superiority was crucial for the success of the invasion. They had to destroy the RAF, the Royal Air Force, which stood as Britain's shield against the aerial onslaught. The Luftwaffe, commanded by the ruthless Hermann Göring, was a formidable force. Göring was confident in his pilots and their machines. It boasted thousands of bombers and fighters, each one a symbol of Nazi Germany's military might. The Germans believed that they could easily crush the RAF, but the Battle of Britain would prove to be a different story, one of courage, resilience, and the indomitable will to survive. The RAF knew that the Luftwaffe would come for them. They had been preparing for this moment for months. They had built new airfields, trained new pilots, and improved their aircraft. They were ready to fight. The first German attacks came in July 1940. The Luftwaffe targeted RAF airfields and radar stations along the south coast of England. The attacks were relentless. The RAF fought back with courage and determination, but they were losing aircraft and pilots at an alarming rate. The situation was desperate. The fate of Britain rested on the shoulders of a few hundred young men. They were the few, the RAF pilots who stood between Hitler and victory. The RAF had a secret weapon, radar. British scientists had developed this revolutionary technology in the years before the war. Radar could detect enemy aircraft while they were still hundreds of miles away. This gave the RAF a crucial advantage. They could scramble their fighters and direct them to intercept the Luftwaffe before they reached their targets. Radar would prove to be a decisive factor in the Battle of Britain. The Luftwaffe, on the other hand, did not have radar. They relied on visual sightings which were often inaccurate. They had severely underestimated the RAF's capabilities and technological advantages. This miscalculation would prove costly. Section 5. Guardians of the Sky. The RAF's main fighter aircraft were the Supermarine Spitfire and the Hawker Hurricane. Both were formidable machines. The Spitfire was faster and more maneuverable, while the Hurricane was tough and reliable. Together, these two aircraft would become icons of the Battle of Britain. They were symbols of British courage and defiance. Their pilots were heroes, risking their lives every day to defend their country. Section 6. A Ballet of Death. The skies above southern England became a swirling aerial battlefield, a deadly dance of metal and fire. Spitfires and Hurricanes clashed with Messerschmitts and Heinkels in deadly dogfights, each maneuver a calculated risk, each shot a bid for survival. The roar of engines and the clatter of machine guns filled the air, a symphony of war that echoed across the countryside. Tracers streaked across the sky, leaving trails of fire and smoke marking the paths of these airborne warriors. The smell of cordite hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the peril that surrounded them. The fighting was intense and unforgiving, with no room for error, no second chances. Many of the RAF pilots were young, some barely out of their teens, thrust into the chaos of war. They were thrown into battle with minimal training, their courage and determination their only shields, yet they fought with skill and courage, their hearts steeled by the knowledge of what was at stake. They knew that the fate of their nation depended on them, that their bravery could turn the tide of war. They were fighting for their homes, their families, their freedom. Each mission a testament to their resolve. They were fighting for their lives, every maneuver a dance with death, every victory a step closer to peace. Section 7. Never surrender! Throughout the summer of 1940, Winston Churchill rallied the British people. His speeches were broadcast on the radio, his words a beacon of hope in the darkness. "We shall not flag or fail," he declared. "We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." Churchill's words had a profound impact on British morale. They gave the people the strength to carry on in the face of adversity. Section 8. A City Aflame. In September 1940, frustrated by their failure to defeat the RAF, the Luftwaffe changed tactics. They began bombing British cities. London was their primary target. Night after night, German bombers rained down death and destruction on the capital. This was the Blitz. The Blitz was a terrifying experience for the people of London. They sheltered in underground stations and makeshift bomb shelters, the ground shaking above them as bombs exploded. Thousands were killed or injured, homes were destroyed, landmarks were damaged. Despite the horrors of the Blitz, the spirit of the British people did not break. They showed remarkable resilience and determination. They helped each other, they rebuilt their lives, and they carried on. Section 9. The tide turns. The Luftwaffe's bombing campaign was a strategic blunder. It gave the RAF time to recover and rebuild its strength. The RAF's pilots, rested and reinforced, returned to the skies with renewed vigor. By October 1940, the tide of the battle had turned. The RAF was inflicting heavy losses on the Luftwaffe. The Germans were running out of aircraft and experienced pilots. Their morale was plummeting. On October 12, 1940, Hitler made the fateful decision to postpone Operation Sea Lion indefinitely. The Battle of Britain was over. The RAF had won. Section 10. Legacy of the Few. The Battle of Britain was a pivotal moment in World War II. It was the first major defeat for the Nazi war machine. It proved that Hitler could be stopped. It gave hope to the occupied peoples of Europe. The victory came at a heavy cost. Over 500 RAF pilots were killed in action. They were the few, the brave young men who gave their lives to defend their country. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. They were the epitome of courage, determination, and selflessness. They were the best of us. Section 11. Their finest hour. The Battle of Britain was Britain's finest hour. It was a time when ordinary men and women achieved extraordinary things. It was a victory for freedom, for democracy, for civilization itself. We remember those who fought and died in the skies above Britain. Their courage and sacrifice will never be forgotten. We owe them a debt of gratitude that we can never truly repay. We must never forget the lessons of the Battle of Britain. We must always be ready to defend our freedom against those who would seek to destroy it. We must never surrender.